I stole 2 iPod Touches in a span of 2 weeks from the same person. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some recent r/confessions posted on Reddit. I stole 2 iPod Touches in a span of 2 weeks from the same person. When I was around 12 years old, I was in morning homeroom and talking to my classmate. He told me that he had just gotten the iPod Touch 4th Gen, and he let me play with it as we talked about how cool it was. A couple days pass and we're in gym class and I noticed my classmate slipped the iPod into his backpack and didn't put it in his locker. So I make a quick 90 degrees and head to the bathroom. I hang back a little bit, exercise my born-given right to wash my hands for 20 seconds. And I make my way over to his backpack, slide the zipper open just enough, and secure the artifact. I carry on with my day and don't show any signs of my misdeeds. So in my middle school we had another homeroom right before dismissal for attendance purposes. And my classmate tells me that he lost his iPod, and I pretended to be sympathetic to his loss. But I scoped out the state of the situation by asking him if he had any idea where he last saw it. He had no clue, so in that exact moment I knew I had a new iPod. About a week and a half goes by and my classmate, in homeroom, tells, and shows, me that he got the iPod replaced. And this time he got the white edition of it. I had to have it. I don't know why I felt compelled, maybe it was the sheer audacity of it, or maybe it was the thrill of stealing something I didn't even need. I rinsed and repeated my last method, and he didn't have a single clue. He never got another iPod Touch, but I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing for either party. But yeah, that's my story of what I did, and I can say that I haven't utilized the 5-finger discount in a very long time. Recovery has been long and tedious, perhaps even strenuous, but I can vouch that there is a way. I'm a gambling addict and I stole money. I've been a gambling addict for over 10 years. It started with slots in a bar, then it got worse once I found out you could gamble online. I have a very good, high-earning job. The more I started to earn, the more I gambled away. I've been unhappy for a long time and I waited too long to seek help. Gambling was my escape, but my house of cards is about to collapse. I was clean sometimes for a year at a time. This year, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, I relapsed and I started gambling again. Out of desperation after losing it all again and getting into debt, I stole money from my employer. There's no obvious trace back to me, but if someone really digs deep it will lead back to me. I've been thinking of confessing so many times, but I decided against it. I decided against it because this job still allows me to pay off my bank loans. I feel if I go to prison now, I'll come out of with my debts tenfolded. I've been praying to not be caught for another year, so at least when I get caught, I no longer have outstanding loans to banks. I watched a lot of prison documentaries and I've seen people with worse crimes do something good in prison. I want to get out of the financial trouble I'm in, and regardless if I'm caught or not, I want to do something good with my life. I want to make sure I can help at least one other person preventing from making the same mistakes I did. Any advice is welcome. Do I confess to my employer now? Wait until they launch an investigation. Contact a lawyer today or wait until caught? I stole $12 from my church. I'm not in hell yet. When I was 15 I stole $12 from my church. Tapes of the sermon were sold and I was asked to deliver the master copy to the table where they would be copied. Nobody was there, so I decided I'd stand there and start making copies myself since I knew how to operate the equipment. It was high speed and made 3 copies at once if I'm remembering correctly. This was a particularly good sermon and an older lady wanted to get 12 copies to send to friends and family. I finished making the tapes and handed them to her, and when she asked how much they were I had no idea, so I just said $1 each. She hands me $12 and goes on her way, and I stick the money in an envelope and then into my pocket and head off to find an adult to handle the tapes. I guess whoever was supposed to deal with this wasn't there and the line of people kept getting longer. I handled it, and after everyone in the line had been taken care of, I put the money in an envelope and stuffed it under the door of the church office. Except for that envelope already in my pocket with $12 in it. I had forgotten about it. Later that week a friend calls and asks if I want to go to the mall with him and hang out and play video games. My mom tells me I need to get my laundry sorted and ready to wash first, and this is when I find that envelope in my pants. I have an internal struggle going on, but my awful sinner thief side wins and I tell myself I'll pay them back someday. Besides, this is an extra $12 I'll get to spend on snacks and games, right? God will understand. A few years go by and I'd all but forgotten about this until I get paid for the first time in US Army basic training. I saw that money and instantly the fear of impending doom swept over me as I realized that before I spend a single penny I better pay back the church. I got a money order for $120 and mailed it to my parents with instructions to give it to the church. No explanation, just the money. I felt so guilty over this that I thought only paying back 10x what I stole would make up for it. I manipulated, bullied and forcefully made out with a guy for money. I kept thinking if I should put this out or not, but today, I decided to post it, and I'm sorry if many of you are offended by this. My coming as a trans girl was quite weird. I don't know, maybe it played a part in all this. We were classmates in high school, both 16. He wasn't popular or anything like that, but he had a more stable life financially than me, and he was a nice guy that 'cause girls rejected because he was kinda lame, awkward socially, and often they would invoke the fact he was nice but not their type. He knew I was trans and had no problem with it, like in bullying me or something along those lines, but he was straight. I don't know when, but at some point I decided to screw with him for fun at first, so you can call that a bit bullying for X. I made fun of him, practical jokes, throw things at him, bossed him around. I noticed he was very generous with other classmates, his friends, etc., so I started to ask favors of him. Small things like buying me food or pick me some stuff and later on lending me some cash, $50 minus $100 about one time a week. I never paid him back, invoking different excuses. I decided to make out with him in hope he would support me with money on the long term. I have had a gambling addiction that time, so I was desperate to find money any way I could. I know. It's bad, but at that time I didn't think I was doing something bad to him. I didn't like him per se, but I ended up using him. So, for like 2 months I hanged out with him more, being more friendly, invited him home, and during this time I tried to seduce him in small, but obvious ways. When I went to school, I usually dressed more like a boy because of society scrutiny in order to pass, but at home I dressed up for him in different outfits, some slutty you can say, and along the line he noticed me, looked at my skirt, at my legs, breasts, etc. in a different way. One day after school, at my place I sensed him more comfortable than ever and I just went in and kissed him. He looked disgusted at first, but I pushed on and kissed him again. His hands went from holding them tight and closed to holding me gently. After a couple of minutes he didn't say a word and left in a hurry. I texted him that night saying I am sorry, I wasn't, and he said it's okay, but he is straight. The next couple of days I teased him at school when we were alone and soon realized he had moments of trembling when I was near him. His hands would shake or he would sweat up and wouldn't talk, then quickly finding himself something to do with his phone. The big thing that changed events was a party we both took part. I saw him sitting in corner alone and thought this was a chance to get a hold of him, so I teased him all night. He looked quite anxious the whole time, but I didn't stop. He kept telling me he wanted to leave the party. His one friend that was with him wanted to hang out in some place, and hearing that, I took his friend outside and told him to fuck off. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was very mean to the point of his friend wanting to punch me. We had a verbal fight over nothing basically. He went back in and just said bye man to him and left. I was so glad that moment. The remaining hours I pushed myself at him and he went home with me. We didn't fuck, but it was an awkward fondling moment. After that I kept saying to him that I need him in text message and other crap, and he gave in and ended up together. During this time, his parents found out about me and they were not okay with it. We were both 17 at that time and I had numerous phone conversations telling them to fuck off and having different fights. I asked him for money numerous times to gamble. The shittiest part of all, now in retrospect, I made him gamble too, although thankfully he didn't become addicted and just went for my sake, I guess. I remember one time, his parents almost threw him out of the house because he wasted money with me. Another shitty thing was one day after he gave me $300 and I gambled them, I went and got another $300 from him without asking, basically stole them and lost those too. We fucked at my place. First time it was awkward for him and I see he wasn't comfortable, but after that he really started to want me sexually. I was shitty because I fucked with another guy also and was cheating on him. I got karma, I guess because the other guy was a scumbag, but I liked him, though after a fit of anger when he beat me I broke up with him. As for my boyfriend, I never went in his home, and during this time, I would spread nasty rumors about him with his friends. He never knew that, until a G's girl confronted him and caught up I was bullshitting about him. That ended up the first relationship. In the first year of college we got hooked up together again, but this time he didn't wanted to have sex anymore. Still I ended up borrowing a few $1,000s from him, which he never got it back. He was so nice as a person, he forgive every tantrum I made and shit I did, he bought me the shit I wanted, clothes, electronic shit like this, and I was just awful to him. I don't know when, but I started to care for him when I realized my behavior was wrong. The last relationship lasted for a month or so because he realized I was a bitch and not worth his feelings or time, at least that's what he said. After couple of years I apologized to him for all this and he said he forgives me. I regretted the fact that I couldn't love him, because he deserved it, but I'm glad I could care for him as a person even though it was way too late. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.